But it was one property in particular. I had a tenant. He didn't want to leave. So I had to offer him cash for keys. So I gave him $2,000. So I don't care what you owe me. Keep it. I just need you out, bro, because I need to sell his property. He said, all right. But he wanted me to put his items in a storage unit for 90 days. Yeah. And I agreed. We started looking for storage units. Everything was sold out, right? So then I'm like, why is everything sold out? Right. I need to be on this side of the business. And that's how I was exposed to self-storage. And I invested $50,000, paid for a mastermind. And the money that I made when I sold my properties, I bought my first facility. And the rest was history.
I've seen a lot of grocery stores go down. A lot of buildings that were very small, like, like 4, 3-family houses go down. Like, I've seen more self-storage units go up like 5, 6, 7 floors. And I'm like, yo, why is there coming up all over the place? Childhood, places where I used to go, self-storage unit. Across the street from where we at right now, self-storage unit. All in the Bronx is like less than a 5-mile radius. You got self-storage units. Like, they're all over and they're all popping.
How do you know you're buying right?
Supply index, that's gonna be the first thing, right? So the way you get your supply index is you usually do a 5 square mile radius, right? That's usually your competition. If it's a facility but that is 10 miles out, that's not my competition, because self-storage is a local business, right? I'm gonna rent out a facility that's nearest to my house. So my competition is only other facilities within that area, right? You want to get the 5-mile radius and get all of the facilities in that area, and then you find out how many total units. So if there's like 10 facilities in this 5-mile radius, 3,000 units, that's your number. Okay. And then you get the total amount of people, the population. Hour and a half out of the city, right? 2 hours outside of the city. And why can I do that? Because we do it remotely. So even though this facility is outside of the city, we don't need to have anybody running it. It's managed remotely, and that's how our business model works. So we want to go for independent mom and pop. So one of the platforms that we look at is Biz Buy Sell. That's a website where you could go on and find business owners that's looking to sell their business.
All right, so welcome back to another episode of Motion and Success. My name is Cody Brown, and I got my co-host with me.
It's Io, yo, and we back. Another good episode, you about to learn a lot of game.
Yes, sir.
So right now we got Ramel with us.
Yes, sir.
This is where Motion and Success meets my guy Ramel. I ain't gonna lie, like, honestly and truly, one thing that I realize is, like, the episodes are getting better and better and better and better, bro. Like, for real. Information is getting up there. The guests are definitely growing.
Yep.
And it's all quality, And crazy thing is, when we first started, that's what we actually wanted from the jump. We wanted quality people that have done great things. And this is another episode where Motion and Success meets Ramel. So, Ramel, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what you do, and how you help change lives, bro.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here, brother. I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Over there.
Thank you.
Ramel Newerls, 32 years old, born and raised in Brooklyn. Story like anybody, right? Poverty, welfare, food stamps, free lunch. We come from that. But I'm most known as the self-storage king. So, I buy self-storage facilities with no money down strategies. I teach entrepreneurs how to buy cash flow on businesses with no money down strategies. We've been able to build $10 million in self-storage and $20 million in family wealth. So I'm just blessed to be able to pass it on. I'll pass on the game.
Wait, so that's definitely impressive. So when you say $10 million in self-storage, like, generated revenue?
Asset value.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
So, like, all of our self-storage facilities over $10 million right now. If we was to sell.
If you was to sell it?
Yeah.
Would you sell?
Negative.
No.
Negative.
All right, cool.
I need 100 million, 200 million to sell. Yeah. Then I need another play on what I'm gonna do with it. But no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nah, so I'm gonna tell you this, Ramel. Like, I definitely been following you for a while, cause during the pandemic it was like a lot going on. Everybody's always trying to figure out a way to get it back, and you had something different. Like, you were doing self-storage. So I'm like, everybody else is running around with traditional real estate. They're doing, like, flips, the burst strategy, and then I seen that you was doing self-storage, and the way you broke it down made it seem so simple.
Yeah.
So why self-storage? Like why were you doing like traditional real estate before? Yeah. So why'd you jump into the self-storage game?
Yeah, I've been in real estate 10 years, bro. So
Damn.
I did single family. So my very first deal was a 2-family brownstone in Brooklyn. Did a fix and flip. So we got it for $590,000. I didn't have the money, right? I was 22 years old when I first got on the contract. Yeah. It took me 3 years to close it because I had to raise the money. Yeah. I found a capital partner, but that same property put on the market, sold it for $1.2 million. made 6 figures, my very first deal, right? So 25 years old, 6-figure check. I'm hyped. I think I'm the man.
Yeah.
So now I'm speeding, right? I'm buying more properties. I got the money. I got good credit. And by 28, I had like 40 plus units, $1 million portfolio. But then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic happened, I had tenants that stopped paying their rent. I couldn't evict them, right? And now, truth be told, I'm like cash poor, equity rich. So yeah, I got all this equity in these houses, but my pockets is bleeding. So I had to figure out, all right, what I'm gonna do. I gotta pivot. So I started selling off some of my properties to put some cash back in my pockets. But it was one property in particular. I had a tenant. He didn't want to leave. So I had to offer him cash for keys. So I gave him $2,000. I said, I don't care what you owe me. Keep it. I just need you out, bro, because I need to sell his property. And he said, all right. But he wanted me to put his items in a storage unit for 90 days. Yeah. And I agreed. We started looking for storage units. Everything was sold out, right? So then I'm like, why is everything sold out? Right. I need to be on this side of the business. And that's how I was exposed to self-storage. And I invested $50,000 and paid for a mastermind. And the money that I made when I sold my properties, I bought my first facility. And the rest was history.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Yo, ain't that crazy? Like crazy times, COVID, like, yo, people weren't paying rent. Tenants was getting paid. So it's like the roles flipped. Yeah. Now you got to pay tenants just to tell them, like, yo, get out the property. Yeah. That's crazy right there. Yeah.
So, and based off what you said already, like, you've seen both sides. You've seen the good sides and you also seen the bad side.
Yes, sir.
So, like, what made you get into self-storage units versus, all right, cool, we probably just had one bad situation. Let me go ahead and just put it to the side. We got to keep going. Because, at the end of the day, like, when people go through challenges, they either give up or they pivot, you know, so, or they keep going, so why'd you pivot into, real estate, self-storage units?
Yeah, I found something better, bro. So, like, you go through things, but if you see something that's better, this was my way of making money in real estate with no tenants, no trash, no toilets. So I don't have anybody that's clogging up the toilets, right? I don't have tenants calling me midnight saying, hey, they loud upstairs stomping and they need you to come out, right? I don't have any of those issues. When somebody doesn't pay their rent, we do a auction, so we still are able to collect our money that we owe. So it's just really night and day. Like once I went self-storage, it was no way to go back. That was really it for me. And it happened the way I shared, right? I just went in a storage unit, helped trying to find my tenant a place to stay. I'm in a place to put his items. I seen it, and there was no point in me going back. I seen something better.
So you paid for his first 90 days?
I did. Oh. So I gave him $2,000 and paid for his storage facility, his unit for 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Because I was selling that property, and I was going to make, I did make like 120, 130 grand. So me getting him out, I was willing to pay whatever, because I know I'm about to flip it. I got somebody that's ready to buy it. I'm going to make my money back anyway. But I need to stop the bleeding. Yeah.
Did you ever consider bankruptcy, like, around those times? Like, when you was going through your situation?
I did, bro.
You did?
I did.
What stops you from doing it?
That's a good question, man. So, I was thinking about doing bankruptcy because I was in credit repair as well. Okay. So I knew how to clean credit. I knew about bankruptcies and I could get away with it. Yeah. Or get around it. I won't say away with it, but get around it. But then I realized that, damn, I'm going to be out the game for about a year, 2 years. Then I'm going to lose my relationship with these banks. I started thinking about the long term of it. Right. So I just said, nah, let me just get to this bread right now. Let me just really double down, figure out a way. That's when I started, selling the properties and making my money back. I did think about it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when I thought about long term, it wasn't the move I knew I needed to make.
What's going on, my Motion and Success family? Sorry to break the interview, but I had to. I just wanted to share some information with you guys because I know there is a problem. A lot of people out here, they're struggling with their credit. They're struggling to get funding. They're struggling to close a real estate deal. They're struggling to go ahead and increase their credit score. They're struggling to remove inquiries off your profile. I have the solution for you. So now what I went ahead and did was I created an AI powered software that you can use to go out and repair your own credit, not only your credit, but also your family members' credit if you wanted to. So the name of the system is called M2Magnet.com. This is an AI powered software that you can use that will generate all the letters for you in less than 5 minutes. And you can send out your letters throughout the software to get the results. This is the same exact system that's responsible responsible for helping me remove negative items off my client's credit profile, my credit profile, and this is what's going to help you to get that 700 plus credit score without having to pay thousands of dollars. Go ahead and visit M2Magnet.com and start working on your credit. See you guys inside the software.
So jumping into the self-storage game, since you got into it, like, you know, a little bit during the pandemic or a little after the pandemic?
During the pandemic.
So do you feel like if something were to come right now, like with all of the self-storage facilities you got, you feel like you'll be good?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I won't be good. I won't be good because I don't have a mindset of like comfortability, right? Because I feel like the minute that you think you got it, the minute you lose it. Sure. That's what happened on the pandemic. I quit my job, right? I had a 9-to-5 job working at Pepsi. So I was a sales rep, filling up the stores with Pepsi, Gatorade, quit my job because I got 40 units. I'm making 15 grand a month passive income.
Yeah.
Pandemic, right? So that just showed me that no matter how much money you have, something can always happen. So you always got to be on point.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. Yeah. So did you ever think about getting into commercial, or you were just more so like just straight like self-storage?
Just strictly self-storage. Now I'm into just buying businesses overall, right? Because self-storage is not only real estate, it's a small business. And that's what I teach. You know, a lot of people think of self-storage, I got to have a bunch of money. And it's actually easier to finance a self-storage than a single family, right? It's the SBA 7A loan. So a lot of people got the PPL and the EIDL loans, right? Yeah. Y'all got the EIDL loans?
No.
Y'all ain't getting none of that money?
I ain't getting none of that.
Y'all missed it out. Y'all looking some of that bread. But a lot of people got some of that bread, but SBA been around since the 1950s, you feel me? And it's a loan called the 7A loan where they give you up to $5 million to buy any small business. Right. And you only got to come to the table with 10% down. So my first facility was $750,000. I only had to come to the table with $75,000. Right. So that's not a lot of money. If in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. But somebody who don't know any better and to see 750 storage facility, I can't afford it. No, you can afford it. It's different loan programs out there with little to no money down out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So now with that, like the 10% down, you know, like what's some of the top 3 strategies you would say, you know, to come to the closing table with that 10%? Because, you know, I might be like, all right, cool, I'm going to get into self-storage units. You know, I'm tired of traditional real estate, but, you know, that 10% down is still a burden. You know, what's your top 3 strategies you say, or even top 2?
I'll give you 3. We got multiple. We got over 100 plus strategies, but I'll give you my top 3, right?
Okay.
Number 1 is going to be getting money from the seller, right?
From the seller,
so you just call seller financing. If I go and I see this owner who has this facility, if they sell it to me, they're going to pay what is called capital gains tax. And this is normal. This is normal conversations in this industry, right?
Yeah.
If I sell this facility to you for $1 million, I got to give Uncle Sam $400,000. Like, they don't want to do that, so they rather just be the bank. So instead of you going to the bank, the seller will say, I'll transfer over ownership to you of this self-storage business, but just pay me a note. So now they still getting that passive income. They don't have the ownership of the business to manage it, but they don't got to pay Uncle Sam all of this money in taxes. So the first way is seller financing.
Okay.
If you can't work that out, the second way is going to be business credit card stacking. So that's how I just purchased 3 new facilities like 8 months ago. It was a $1.8 million business, storage business, right? And we had to come to the table with $110,000. And we went and did a credit card stacking sequence. So I applied for a series of credit cards, 0% interest, pull the money off the credit cards, use that as a down payment.
Right.
So that's the second way that we could get in with no money out of our pocket, right?
Yeah.
The third way that we could go get in with no money out of our pocket, we utilize capital partners, right? So I've done this multiple times. Yeah. You have an LLC. I can put both of y'all or one of y'all on my LLC, go get funding, and now you my partner and you put the money up because you're going to utilize the funding that you got. Or if you got money in a 401k. So it's just finding somebody that have money and they need to put it somewhere or get them access to the money, and then now you utilize it for your down payment. Those are my top 3 strategies.
I ain't gonna lie, that's impressive though. Because like you almost have no excuse to not get in too, you know, like especially like because at one point I had a client where, you know, we were going to help them buy a business, and the business was a hotel. Credit was bad. you know, he couldn't really get any funding, things like that. So it was kind of hard. We was gonna go the 7A route because you needed a big loan for a purchase like that. So at one point, he wanted me to be his partner. I'm like, the banks don't want you. The other people don't want you. I'm like, all right, cool. This deal is just not a good deal. It don't make sense. You know what I mean? So now, one thing that I did realize and one thing I did learn going throughout that process was like, if the banks aren't looking to do it, if they're not doing business with it, they're not going to lend, that might not be a good deal. And they're not going to lend money to a deal that just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? If they're going to kick out $5 million, it best to make sense, you know, as far as like making money and making profit. So you only have, you know, up to go, basically. You know what I mean? So that's good.
I agree with you, bro, because I say, you know, the banks are your business partner.
Yeah, they
so
are.
If they're going to give you 90% of this money, they want to make sure that it makes sense. And if the bank say it don't make sense, it probably don't make sense for me neither.
Probably don't make sense, exactly.
You know what I mean? So let me stay away.
Right.
So you're right. So
you just gave 3 strategies, and one of them you might not even need to have the money for it. Like the last one, you said find a partner and they get the funding. So that's really dope because you just gave 3 ways where people could go out and get the facility.
Listen, you don't need no money, period. Now, it's great to have it. Like, if you have it, you can do it. But anybody watching this right now, I don't want anybody to think that they need the money. That's just 3 strategies. Like I said, we got over 100 strategies, but none of the strategies involve you personally utilizing your own money. The one who actually finds the good deal is the one who's in control, because there's a lot of people that have money but don't know what to do with it. Oh, I got money in this account, money here, but stuck with it, right? But it's not too many people that have great deals that can give them a great return. Right. So if I find a great deal, I'm definitely going to find somebody that's going to be able to put that money up or create a strategy to get the capital to make it happen.
And one thing I wanted to say too is like, you went out and you invested $50,000 into learning. And that's one thing that I noticed a lot of successful entrepreneurs do. Like, you know, a lot of people will go on YouTube and they will feel like, you know, I could just go out and buy a self-storage facility and call it a day. But you kind of look at it differently. You went out and you went to, I guess, I'm assuming you learned from somebody who probably owns a bunch of self-storage facilities. So how did that fast track you into buying your first facility?
Yeah, bro. Mentorship is the GPS to your success, bro. I say it all the time. I truly feel like mentorship is a scam, right? And when I say scam, but for the person that you spent 10, 20, 30 years of your life, money, time, energy, losses, and I get to pay you $20,000, $50,000 to learn what you did in 30 years, like that's a win for me, right? So I learned that early, and I learned that when I was in middle school, right? I had went upstate New York for about a year when I was in middle school, and I came back to Brooklyn, right? But it was this funny lesson that I learned. I was always good at math. Yeah. And this white kid, right? He came to me and said, "Hey, can you tutor me on math?" Right? And he said, "I got $20 and I'll pay you $20 to tutor me." Now I'm in 7th grade at this time. I'm like, "Give me the $20, like let's get it. I'll teach you," and stuff like that. I went home to my dad, and I'm like, "Yo, Dad, you know, I got paid $20 to tutor this white kid." My dad didn't believe me. No, hell no. Ain't no way you got $20. You know, he nervous. He just thinking, where you get $20 from a white kid? Yeah. Nah, you out here, you robbed somebody, you did some, you know, crazy stuff, right? So I said, "No, Dad, I really did this." So he had me call up the kid and put his mother on the phone. And the kid's mother spoke to my dad and said, "Yes, your son is very smart." That's what my son told me. And I said that if he need him to tutor him, he need to pay him for his time. So in 7th grade, in another community, they already teaching them to learn about skills from other people and pay for that time. Right. But we learned that late, or we never even learned it, right? I learned this early, which allowed me to say, I need to pay for information and pay people for their time so that I can get to my goal faster. Yeah. And that's really what it's about.
You want to know one thing I realized about you, bro, and like you specifically, like, the niche that you're in real estate is kind of like not really talked about too much. Like there's not a lot of people out here buying self-storage units. You know, there's not a lot of people talking about it, period. Like, why do you think like you're like almost the only one or the dominating force when it comes to self-storage?
I am the only one in the black community. Respectfully. Yeah, that's just being honest, right?
Respectfully, right?
But in the other communities that's not us, this is a thing that they've been doing for years and years and decades, right? One of my business partners, right? He's been in the self-storage business since he was 9 years old. Is he black? No. But his dad been in it, right?
Wow.
And that's really why I teach, bro, because it's been a hidden industry.
Yeah.
It's been like gate kept because they know that this is where they make millions and they're not going to share the information. So I think the reason why I am the main one out here teaching it is because we call it the best kept secret, bro. Yeah. And when every time you have an industry that is really profitable, they don't want to put it out there. They're gonna keep it to themselves until we do what y'all doing, motion of success, putting people on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost ironic to the point where, like, in New York now, I've seen a lot of grocery stores go down, a lot of buildings that were very small, like, you know, like 4, 3 family houses go down. Like, I've seen more self-storage units go up, like 5, 6, 7 floors, and I'm like, yo, why is there coming up all over the place? Childhood, you know, places where I used to go, self-storage unit across the street from where we at right now, self-storage unit. All in the Bronx is like less than a 5-mile radius. You got self-storage units, like they're all over and they're all popping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's kind of ironic because it's like, yo, you don't really hear too much people. You hear real estate, you hear Airbnb, you hear fix and flips, you hear all kinds of different, you know, strategies, but never really the short-term, not short-term,
because
self-storage units. Sorry.
So I love what you said, right? You don't hear about self-storage, but you see it.
But you see it. You definitely see it.
Why is that, right? You don't hear about it, but you see it.
Yeah.
So we walk around the neighborhood all the time, and we don't pay attention to what's right in front of us unless we hear somebody speak about it. And that's what we got to change. But, you know, we teach Airbnb, and no knock on Airbnb, right? I know I was talking crazy about Airbnb, right? No knock on any of these different strategies. But what we typically get into is what we think is an easier barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. That's why we get into what you just talked about, right? Because we think that it's easier. Yeah. Self-storage, we don't think that it's easy to get into. Now, it's not. It's just simple. So I think it's just surrounded more education. Like, as long as we educate more, then we will be able to talk about it more. We'll be able to get more people inside that industry. And it's called supply index, right? So the reason why you see so many storage facilities being built is because there is more people, right? Whenever you see buildings being developed, like apartment buildings and more housing, that creates a need for more storage because there's more people, more items. And then you look at these apartments, they're making them smaller and smaller. Right. So if I'm growing my family, but the apartment's getting smaller, where do I store my stuff? So the self-storage business just follows wherever the people's going, and it's too much people, not enough storage. And you're going to keep seeing that trend over the next 10 years.
Yeah, that you basically answered my question I just was about to ask. I was going to ask you because, you know, in real estate, you got to do a lot of due diligence before you even go buy a property. You got to, you know, look at the area. You know, you got to talk to, you know, the seller. You know, kind of do a whole bunch of due diligences. So what about self-storage facilities? How do you know you're buying right? Like, you're not buying in a way where, like, you're going to be taking losses, vacant, like all your units is vacant. Like, how do you prevent that?
Yeah, so what I just shared as far as supply index, that's gonna be the first thing, right? So the way you get your supply index is you usually do a 5 square mile radius, right? That's usually your competition. If it's a facility, but that is 10 miles out, that's not my competition because self-storage is a local business, right? I'm gonna rent out a facility that's nearest to my house. So my competition is only other facilities within that area, right? You wanna get the 5 mile radius and get all of the facilities in that area, and then you find out how many total units. So if there's like 10 facilities in this 5 mile radius, 3,000 units, that's your number. Okay. And then you get the total amount of people, the population. So let's say if it's 5,000 people, just throwing a number out there, you're going to take the total amount of units divided by the total amount of people. And that number should be at 7% or below. If it's 7% or higher, that means that there's not enough. If there's 7% or higher, that means that is not enough units for the amount of people. If it's lower, that means that it is more units than people. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things that I dictate. Is there a need for self-storage there, right? The second thing is you got to look at the money. So it's platforms like niche.com where you can find out the median household income. You know, you could find out theft, you could find out, crime, things like that. But if the median household income is 15, 20,000, if I'm struggling to pay my rent where I live, I'm definitely going to struggle to pay my storage unit bill. Right? That's the last thing I'm thinking about. So you don't want to buy in an area where it's low income, where that's the last thing somebody's going to do is pay for a storage unit, because it's technically considered like an additional bill, right? It's not the main necessity. So I want to look at the supply index. I also want to look at, the median income. And the last thing I would say is like just the numbers, right? Does it make sense, right? Is there opportunity for me to increase my rent? Is there opportunity for me to expand, right? Is there more land so I could build more units? Is there opportunity for me to add vending machines on the facility? Is there opportunity for me to bring U-Haul trucks, right? What opportunities do we have to add value? So after I check those 3 boxes, and if they check out, now I know I'm on the right track. That this may be a good deal for me.
So like that's like almost your go-to strategy every time.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's game right there.
Yeah, now that's a good question. That's a whole masterclass right there.
How about you asked something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So you said basically like you can't, like, it's not like when you got tenants and you're having a hard time evicting your tenants or whatnot. Somebody's not paying they're not paying their monthly bill for the self-storage. Yeah. How do you guys go about that? You can't go to court. You can't. How do you guys go about that?
That's another reason why I love self-storage, bro, because we go by lien laws, not eviction. So when you when you own an apartment or a house, it's an eviction law that you got to follow based upon that state. But self-storage, because it's not a person living in there, it's items, is a lien law. And it's only a 30-day lease. So if you fall behind and don't pay me that month, I'm going to send you a notification. And if you don't pay within 7 to 15 days, now I'm going to schedule an auction. So we now have an auction company come in, and they're going to have other people bid on your unit. Damn. So you could look up Storage Wars. Well, this is a real...
That's an actual TV show.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy watching that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. You see they pull up guns, antique stuff, everything.
Yeah. So, and now we bid off the unit, and we still get paid, because now whatever you owe, whatever the profits is, if there's profits, we get back at least what we're owed. So we don't have to deal with that.
Now I kind of see the argument, because in real estate, in like traditional real estate, you got squatters, and a lot of these squatters, they be having the landlords crash out bad, man. So in self-storage, you don't got to deal with that.
Nah. Right. I'm telling you, the landlord, like, I'm going to say this loud. Like, I don't care. You can debate me, right? Being a landlord is another job, and it's a hard job. It's a tiring job, and you want to get into business to be a CEO, to be an investor, right? You don't want to pick up another job, or you could just stay at McDonald's or wherever you was at. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't share that about real estate. They just say, buy this property, put a tenant in there, and you're going to make money. And that's not always the case. It's really never the case. There's always going to be something that comes up. So, that's just really how I feel about it, because I've been through it.
Right. So, like... One thing I wanted to say too, because when you were saying like your top 3 ways on, finding and sourcing the deal and making sure it makes sense, how about like the foreclosure court? Are you looking at that too? Like you going on because like that's public information. It shows like people getting kicked out of their house, evicted, things like that. Is that something you take into consideration? Like, is the foreclosure rate high? Like, is that something you be taking into consideration as well? That's something that you
can look at. I typically don't too much, but it's something to look at, right? It is a factor that help you decide. The reason why I don't is because with storage, we don't typically do foreclosures, but it does impact whether or not the type of individuals that you're going to have renting out those storage units. So that's something that, that's a good point, bro. Yeah. I just haven't really did that research on it, but that's a really good point.
And in terms of marketing, do you guys have to get heavy into marketing for self-storage? Because I know it's a lot. Like, let's say like in New York, like you got a self-storage here, might be one couple miles down. So how do you, in like a competitive market, how do you stand out from the rest of like the competitors?
Yeah, bro. This is why I love it, because it's a local business. So when we buy self-storage, we don't put Mogul Self-Storage. I don't put my name on it. We keep the same name, because this may be Sal's Self-Storage or Greenberg Self-Storage. It's relative and relatable to the area, right? So self-storage is typically people driving by and seeing it or just Googling self-storage nearby, and that's what they rent. So we want to we pay for like Google ads, right? Pay per click and things like that, but not like running YouTube or Facebook ads. We pay just to be at the top of the food chain whenever they Google self-storage nearby. Yeah. But outside of that, how do we stand out is we do promos. So we'll give you like first month rent free or $1, for your first month rent. You want to look good from a landscaping standpoint, right? Have a nice sign up. You want to have your grass cut. You don't want to have your sign falling down. So when somebody's coming to rent out the facility or rent out a unit, they feel like, all right, my stuff is here in a comfortable place, right? So we don't have to do too much marketing because we have waiting lists. So when you rent out a unit and there's no availability, we just put you on a waiting list. And then when somebody moves out, we just call the waiting list and then get that person in. So we don't have to do marketing because it's already a waiting list. And soon as that person's out, we just call in the next person. Hey, you still available?
Yeah.
You still available? That's why it's important to buy in areas where it's high demand so that you're always having that demand for it, and you don't need to do too much marketing at all because people already want it.
Yeah. In terms of managing a self-storage facility, like, are you managing these like by yourself? Like, how easy is it to manage?
Can I get y'all some game? Please, yes. I get y'all some game, right? So I get excited about this, bro, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, right, it's risky, right? And a lot of people think they could just get in and start a business and make money. That's not how it goes. It takes grind. It takes some time. You're gonna lose a lot of money before you make money. But I promote buying a business that is already cash flowing, so you're making money while you're learning. Versus learning and losing, and that's how you get out of business. So when I buy this storage business, it already has customers, already has leases in place, right? It already has the waiting list, the marketing, everything is already there. I'm just buying as is, right? Now, we revolutionized the self-storage business where we run it remotely. So we don't have no employees, right? We just hire a management company and we have a cold calling center. I'm going to break it down for you, right? So we have a cold calling center where you go to our facility and there's a QR code. Say, rent me now. You scan the QR code, takes you straight to our website. You rent out your unit online. You don't need to be there with anybody in person. You rent online, or you call over the phone and then we'll book your unit for you online. And now we upsell you. So when you rent out a unit, hey, whether we on the phone or you're on the website, the next page is insurance. So you rent out the unit. Now you got to pay for insurance because it's mandatory. Once you put the insurance in your cart, now is another bump to say, hey, do you need moving services? So now you put the moving services in your cart, and that's a third party that we refer it out to. The next bump is, do you need transportation? So either whether you online or whether you're on the phone, the goal is to upsell you on these different services that you already need. Yeah. If you need locks, boxes, packing supplies, that's also built in on our website. So we have a partnership with Amazon, like affiliate, right? Yeah. Nice. So now you go on our website and you need retail, you need boxes, locks, and everything. You just now click this link, which is our Amazon affiliate, and it's shipped directly to your house or shipped to the facility. So now you don't go out and do all this is all remotely, bro. We don't have anybody working besides a maintenance guy that I pay to come to the facility maybe 3-4 hours a week just to check up on and make sure there's no trash, no locks are broken into, because we have the cold calling center, and we have VAs that monitor the cameras 24/7. Yeah. So that's our entire process.
So you pay someone just to look at the cameras all day.
That's your job.
How do you know they're actually looking at the cameras though? Like,
well, that's what the management company's job is to do. So I pay a management company to manage that entire process.
Okay.
And then I'm being on a platform called Monday.com. You know about Monday.com?
Yeah.
So that's where, like, if there's any issues that come up during the business, I'll go on Monday.com and see if this camera is broken, right? Or if this lock is broken, or if anything comes up, I'll be able to see what's happening. But for the most part, it's a management company that manages it. They're responsible to make sure that the VAs are monitoring the cameras, and at the cold call center, it's answering the right calls, doing control and compliance, quality, and things like that. And I just go in the facility once a quarter and walk through, just make sure everything's good.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie. There's a crazy lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I know I gave y'all a lot just that.
That's because I was gonna get ready to ask you. I'm like, yo, if you got the self-storage units, you're not really worrying too much about like high maintenance. Like your employee, you probably paying a minimum wage or a little bit higher than that. And you probably might just have 1 or 2 guys working, 8-hour shifts. And it's not open 24 hours. So you're not really...
We do have it 24 hours.
My fault. Some are, some aren't, right? So now it's still not that much compared to the amount of money that you're making on a monthly basis off of these people renting it out. And then also security. So like, how about like for example, because I know, they probably do rounds every single night just to make sure people not sleeping inside. Like I done seen a video on TikTok where it was a couple and they was over here trying to act like, because I guess they fell in hard times, or they just, I don't know, they just wanted to do an experiment, and they ended up sleeping.
They said it's cheaper to live in a self-storage
it's cheaper to live in a self-storage unit. And every time that the people passed, they were so nice at just, finessing their night inside the self-storage unit. Like how do you get around that? Because if there's not a person there,
that never happened.
People sleeping inside these things potentially.
Yeah, that never happened to me. It can happen. Yeah. I know, like my mentor told me he had issues with that in LA because they got a big homeless problem.
Yeah.
So there'd be people that be sleeping in the units and things like that. But that's why you have your VAs monitoring the cameras, but we also have a gate system, right? So you got to have a keypad code to get in there. And, we strive to make sure that nobody's trying to get through, and waiting for somebody to open the gate and then slide right behind them. Yeah. But really, the only way to really prevent that outside of just having the cameras being watched and having a gate code is that maintenance guy that comes down, a couple hours a day just to walk the facility and really check things out. So it can happen. It just never happened to me. I've heard of it. But yeah.
Have you had any horror stories dealing with this?
Yeah.
I know you got some crazy, typical tenant stories, but like, how about like self-storage? Any crazy stories in that?
So self-storage, I got 2 crazy stories. And the second one I'm gonna share with you, y'all gonna go insane, right? The first one is just people leaving a bunch of like trash in there, right? So, food, mice, rats, things like crawl up in there because it's just people just put stuff in there that shouldn't be in there. So we've seen that a lot, just like in filthy units, like, oh my goodness, right? But this didn't happen with one of my units, but another business partner of mine that have facilities, he did an auction, typical unit, auction off the unit. When we auction off the units, as the owner, you cannot take what's in the unit, right? You can't cherry pick, oh, let me grab this. You just auction off the whole unit. It was $200,000 in the unit that got auctioned off. And somebody that bid it on the unit got it. And the person that had the money in the unit got locked up. And they had this money stashed. That's why they wasn't able to pay their bill, because they got locked up for whatever reason. And that person who bid it on that unit got $200,000.
Cold hard cash.
Yeah. And you, as the owner, you can't get a piece of that. You only get what you're owed on that unit.
Yeah, and how much they won that bid for?
I don't even know how much they won that bid for. I don't even know. All I know is that it was $200,000. They probably could have won it for maybe a couple $100.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's how I go, man. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked you about like kind of like the business model behind this, because if you walk into one of these storage facilities in New York, you got the person in the front desk. Like, it seems like you gotta have employees, kind of like, I don't know if it's a New York thing, but some of them are like, I don't know if it's like franchises. Like, you see CubeSmart, you kind of just see the same facilities like back to back. Like, what's the difference between them and then having like your own self-storage facility?
Great question, bro. Y'all good. I got some good questions, man. So you have franchises and you have independent. So CubeSmart, Extra Space, Public Storage, those are the big franchises, REITs, like big corporate companies, right? So they have more money, more resources, more systems and processes that you have to follow. So they do put somebody at the front desk. They have all these things. We buy independent mom and pop self-storage, right? And 80% of the self-storage industry is actually independent mom and pop. It's just that those are typically like submarkets outside of the city, because all the big corporate companies, they come in and buying up everything in the cities because they just got the bag.
Yeah.
So I focus on targeting independent mom and pop and submarkets. So like an hour and a half out of the city, right? 2 hours outside of the city. And why can I do that? Because we do it remotely. So even though this facility is outside of the city, we don't need to have anybody running it. It's managed remotely. And that's how our business model works. So we want to go for independent mom and pop. And the goal is, just to have the positioning to where 10 years from now, we own all of these independent mom and pops, added these different streams to it, remote management. Then the big REIT like a CubeSmart, they going to come and say, hold on.
I was thinking that too.
We want that. All right, cut me my check. I need $100 million, That's the goal, to be at least be in position for them to be able to come and try to, buy you out. That's what they do.
So, like, in your case, like, what do you prefer more? Or I'm not sure if the second option is something you even do at all or even entertain. Do you build up, or do you buy, like, established, like, self-storage units? Like, have you ever built up one from the ground up?
Nah, I haven't built up yet. My goal is to do that at some point, but right now, just buying existing facilities, because, again, I want to make money day one. When I build, you got to put money into it, carrying costs, the time it's going to take, permits. I'm not making money day one. Right now, I'm in the phase of I just want to be able to invest and make money right away.
Right.
Into a system that's already set up, that's already working, that's already built. I don't got to reinvent the wheel. All I got to do is just add on my new creative strategies to take it from A to B to C. That's the type of time I'm on right now. I know people that do like building and conversions. So like Rite Aids, Kmart's, like these big grocery stores that they closing down, they convert them to storage facilities, but I haven't done that yet.
So one thing I do want to jump into, since we got like a lot of viewers, everybody, you got a big like entrepreneur audience.
Yeah.
So they like numbers.
Yeah.
They want to hear passive income coming in. So after you got your first facility, when did you know it was time to get the second one? Like, oh, this is working. Like, I'm making money. I'm cash flowing.
I would say I was about 8 months later.
8 months later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was working, and I didn't have much going. Like, I was so used to the grind, right? Buying the property, fixing it up, hunting down a tenant, managing it. So when I got into self-storage and hiring, that's a big key, hiring a management company, because you can manage it yourself, but now you still got another job. So you hire a management company and they manage it. It's just that it's just less management and manpower that's needed. And I still had capital that was left over from a lot of properties that I sold, and I needed to flip the money around. So I got to my next one like really, really fast.
So if a person got like if they acquire a self-storage facility, and it has probably like, let's just say, I don't know, you definitely would know. Let's say it has 50 units, right, where you can store stuff. Like, what's the possible returns? I know you go based off of size. You got the vending machines. Yeah. Like, what kind of revenue are you looking at, like, on a month-to-month basis with, like a smaller end, self-storage unit? What's considered smaller end, actually? Like,
good question. So small facilities is anything that's 200, 250 units or below.
Okay.
That's considered small. Anything that's like 300 to like maybe 600 is medium size, and anything above that is considered a large facility.
Okay.
But it's going to depend on your rent rates. So just like an apartment in New York, $5,000 maybe for a 2-bedroom, but in Atlanta, I don't know, probably $2,000, $3,000 or whatever. So depending on where you're buying, and the price per square foot is going to determine how much you can rent it for, right? Mm-hmm. I could just give you exact numbers like that I have, right? So we just bought 3 facilities, 240 units. We paid $850,000 for them, right? Mm-hmm. On average, it's about $100 a unit, right? 240 units. So you do the math. That's about $24,000 a month, and it's rent. But we also make money off the insurance. So the insurance is about $12 that we get paid per unit. So $12 times 240 units. That's additional income that comes in on that unit, and the money that we make off of you all, right? So right out the gate when I bought the facility, we was making $25,000 a month, like right out the gate, day one, right? So that is the type of numbers that you can make. Yeah. And then the reason, again, why I like it, because it's passive. Yeah. Right. I'm not in there waking up, doing things. It's money right out the gate, $25,000, and now we add these different streams of revenue onto it, and then we increase our rent as well. So, you know, you would be in some areas like New York where you pay $250 a unit, $220. Some areas like Arkansas, you may pay $40 a unit, right? But it's gonna vary. I would just say, you know, you want to look at the bottom line, because the truth is, you could also buy a facility that's so small that's bringing in less than what a single family would be, right? So single family in a certain area may bring you $4,000, and now you bought a small facility that's bringing in $4,000. It's like you might as well bought a single family. Yeah. So it's really just kind of dialing in on those numbers.
So you said 24,000 in rent. Yeah. How much would it cost to maintain? Like, let's say, you know, you say you got people watching the cameras. Yeah. You got, you know,
expenses.
Yeah, you got maintenance. You know, people there. How much would it cost to? You know, I mean,
on average,
how much you taking home? Like, you know,
on average, we have like a 30 to 40% expense ratio. Yeah. That's like the rule of thumb, right? Because 10% go to management. So then the rest of it is going to be your debt. It's going to be, you know, you paying your employees. It's going to be paying your cold call center. So on average, it's about 30, 40% of whatever you make. So if we're making $100,000 a month, 30,000 of that, 40,000 of that is going to be expenses. So that's how much you could just kind of roundabout expect, you know, net.
So they cash flowing for real.
Oh yeah.
So
heavy cash flow.
So when you say like insurance, what I thought about was like, you know, like they got renters insurance. Like if you're renting an apartment, you know, you can go to probably like a State Farm or somewhere like that, and they'll give you, you know, insurance for your apartment in case of a fire, or flood, or whatever the case may be. So like, are you partnering with like companies like State Farm or, you know, those insurance companies, and they're giving you a kickback affiliate?
Correct. That's exactly how it works.
Oh,
so like anybody that rent out an apartment, if you ever wondered, they get paid commissions, right? Yeah. To be the primary insurance carrier for this facility. So we have a primary insurance carrier for our facilities, and we get paid 50% commissions on every single unit, every single month, just by offering insurance. We not no fulfillment, anything. But just by offering it, we get paid.
Is it a mandated for like thing for your?
We make it mandatory because we want to get paid. But also, if there's a fire, flood, you don't want to be responsible for it. We don't want to be responsible either. That's what we're utilizing insurance. But it is mandatory that in our lease agreement, when you rent it out as a customer, that you must get insurance.
Okay. I ain't gonna lie, so far, bro, we're probably like 30 minutes, 50 minutes in. I feel like this has been like a whole masterclass already.
Facts.
Reason why I say that is because, like, first things first. Oh, one thing that we probably did miss out that we didn't touch on just yet was like the location. Like, how do you source out your locations for, you know, self-storage units?
So we go for...
what's the hot cities for you personally?
So we want to look at the areas where people are moving to. So, like, for example, Pennsylvania, in the pandemic, the state of Pennsylvania had a 13% population increase because a lot of people that was living in New York City was getting out of there, right? And they going to, what's the nearest town? Jersey, Philly, even people that lived in, like, Jersey City, just going further up, going to PA, right? So you want to follow where people are moving to, right? So Vegas is another one. Texas, Florida.
Vegas is,
these are places that a lot of people are moving to. So wherever the people go, that's where we want to follow. So I'm heavy right now in Pennsylvania. That's my area right now that I'm dialed in on because of, you know, what's happening out there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So now I got the location, right? We got that. We got the way how to get the money, which is the SBA loan. Another thing is, you know, the strategies that you gave as far as like buying the real estate, like your top 3 things that you would do and that you would look for when it comes to buying a deal, the ways how to make money in the self-storage unit. Like, what's missing at this point? Like, what's the missing key? Because I know, you know, a person can't just watch a quick 1 hour, you know, episode or podcast and they be like, all right, cool, now I'm making $24,000 a month. What's that missing thing that people would actually need to go out and start, having motion and success when it comes to investing in that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, bro. There's a few things that they need. Like, he's not our podcast, not going. It's a lot of game, but first you need to be able to find great deals. A lot of people fail because they don't even know where to find these great deals, right?
Yeah.
So one of the platforms that we look at is Biz Buy Sell. That's a website where you could go on and find business owners that's looking to sell their business. If they're looking to sell self-storage, then you connect with the broker. So you go on Biz Buy Sell. I build a relationship with the broker and say, hey, I'm looking for this type of facility with this type of revenue at this purchase price. Can you start sending me some deals? So start building a relationship with brokers to send you opportunities. Or you go direct to the seller. That's really what we do. So we pull the list of self-storage facilities throughout the state of Pennsylvania and get the owner's phone number, name, address, email. And then we're cold calling, we're texting, you're sending letters, we're emailing every day. And we want to find a motivated person that's willing to sell because they're ready to retire and they done. So that's a big key that a lot of people miss, is how to find those great deals and then building your profile to get approved with the SBA. Yes, I know I'll say SBA all day long, but they want to make sure that you have decent credit.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that you have a business plan. They want to make sure that you have some documented income. Like, do you have a job? Do you have a W-2? Do you have tax returns, right? So how do you position yourself to be able to find those deals and be the person that gets approved, right? And then the last piece is, how do you syndicate these deals? So syndication is me finding a good deal and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I might be like, hey, look, you got the good credit. I'm going to put you on as my credit partner so we get approved with the SBA, right? You have good documented job income. I'm going to put you on as the person that's going to showcase consistent revenue. I'm going to come on because I have the experience. But now how do you put all of these people together on one business to meet all the requirements? That's truly what I teach, because not everybody always have all components. You may need to plug and play and put people together to go and make it happen.
Right.
Right. That's game right there, and it makes a lot of sense. I was gonna ask you too, in terms of like worst case scenario, vacancy, high turnover rates. How do you handle situations like that? Like, what do you do in cases like that?
We just auction them. That's all. Like, I would just have a budget set aside for auction. We know that we always gonna get our money. We just try to prevent it. So one of the ways that we try to prevent it is by putting in discounts for Autopay, right? So now you put on Autopay, give you 10% discount. So now it's more likely for you to keep up with your payments, right? Calling our customers, just checking in. How's everything going? Just really building rapport. And, hopefully that helps us maintain. And if in the event that they don't pay, we just got to go to auction route. We don't want to, I don't want to happily say we want to go to auction. No, because in some cases you can lose money. So if somebody owes $1,000 because of late fees and different things that has happened, and that unit only sells for $200, you lose. So the last thing that we want to do is go to auction. We just want to build great relationships and give you the best, experience, so that you don't even get to that point.
And who's your mandated people that must be on your team when you're buying a deal? Like when you're buying a self-storage unit.
So you need a business attorney, number one, right? And I'm said business attorney, not just a broker. You need a business attorney because you're buying a business. Right. So just some game, right? When you're buying a business, you need to have certain documents, right? Like a non-compete. So if I buy, let's say I buy your podcast from you, right? Because I could at some point scale this up and sell it when y'all build it up to that capacity. But now you have to sign an agreement to say you're not going to go out and build a new podcast to compete with me, because you could sell this off and then go build one up the street and be like, but you got the brand and likeness, right? So if I buy a facility from you, you have to agree not to go and build one in 3 years or create one within this 10-mile radius within the next 10 years, right? So your attorney need to be on top of that. We need to make sure that the business is clean, right? Because you can also buy and get, when you buy the business, you get their name, their website. Sometimes you could actually even get the credit history to go get funded. Wow. So all of those things have to be addressed in the agreement. So you need a business attorney. Right. You're gonna need.
You said business lawyer, business attorney? Same thing. Okay.
Yeah. Business broker. You use a business broker. Property manager. Definitely need a property manager. Title company. What else? Inspector. and you need an appraiser, I would say. That's really what you need. And then you just need the person that know how to put the deal together, which is you. That's what we teach.
Wow.
I asked some good questions, bro. This was a whole masterclass. They got the game from y'all.
Yeah. I definitely I had a list of questions too, and one more thing I did want to ask too was like, you know, in traditional, let's say you got a lot of tax benefits. You get the same tax benefits with self-storage facilities as well?
Yes, sir. So that's why I love it so much, bro. I'm gonna keep shouting this because you get the benefits of real estate, but it's a cash flowing business. So I get heavy cash flow, but I still get my equity, appreciation, my depreciation, my tax benefits because it's still commercial real estate. So there's some game I'm gonna give y'all too, right? And we could go on and on about this, but I know we about to close this up. Is insurance.
Yeah.
So, y'all know about like life insurance, infinite bank, IULs, all that cool stuff where you could borrow from your own bank, and things like that. Well, private money lenders, right? Most private money lenders, they are lenders from their insurance. So when you go buy a property and you go get a hard money lender, it's just a group of people that got a bunch of money and they put it in insurance and lend it out. Now, you could actually lend out from your insurance for real estate. Not a lot of different, like not too many industries, but for real estate, you can lend out. And that's why you have hard money lenders for real estate. Self-storage is real estate, right? So a lot of people that have money, they invest in self-storage or lend out to people that buy self-storage so they can get those tax breaks. But that's some high-level game right there.
That's I've heard of things like that too, where people pull from their cash value or something like that. They pull from their whole life insurance policy, and then they'll take that, dump it in some asset, pay it back over time because it's no interest, none of that stuff. Yeah, I've heard of things like that, but that's definitely a real game. You definitely gotta have somebody on your team that knows what they're doing for sure. Because you don't want to just be throwing money out here. But there was one last thing I definitely wanted to ask, but I kind of forgot. I should have wrote it down. Anything that you think we missed out that a lot of people usually get wrong, like messed up, or one of the biggest questions that your mentees ask during this whole process?
Man, y'all asked some great questions, man. There's a lot that I could continue to go on to, but I think this is a great foundation. I just wanted to be clear that you don't need a ton of money to get started. You don't need to have everything figured out. We think that we need to be at level 10 in order to get started. We think we need to have the best credit profile. We think we need to have the most money. You can just get started, right? And why I love self-storage is because you're going to get started in a business that's already making money and running. So what better way to get started in entrepreneurship with something that's already working?
Yeah.
Don't get started with something that's you don't know. It's just like, yes, I seen somebody do it, so let me try to do it, right? So that's the only thing I would share, but yeah, that's the only thing I would share.
That's good stuff.
Now this is a good one. This is a lot of game, bro. Like
definitely
I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is one of the ones that I even feel like I'm a replay, watch over and things like that. So like as of right now, like as far as like your residential real estate portfolio, like you got rid of everything?
Not everything. I kept 2 apartment buildings because I got them at really good deals and they're in great areas. So I know that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when my sons get old, I got 2 sons. They're gonna be like, all right, Dad, I like this. I'll take this, and it'll be worth something. So I kept those 2 for that reason. And they're apartment buildings, so it's not like it's 6-unit buildings actually. So I kept those 2. Everything else I sold off.
One thing before we close too, because you just mentioned your sons, bro. You mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, and I kind of wanted to ask that too. You said $10 million, in asset value, and then you said something about
$20
wealth
million in family wealth.
So, like, and then you got 2 children. You got the apartment buildings that you want them, to be able to acquire at some point. Like, I know one time you said you have family legacy meetings or something like that.
Yeah.
What does those consist of? Like, how are you building wealth for your family? Because you know I'm pretty sure you paved the way for your family. Yeah. You probably was the black sheep, the person that went out, took all the risk. Like, what does wealth building look like for you? Like, outside of just buying the properties, and buying the real estate properties, buying the real estate deals, things like that. What is those conversations usually like? And like, what's the point that you're getting across when you're talking to your family?
Yeah, bro. So every single year I have what is called family legacy meetings, right? Where I sit down with my family, my brothers, my sisters, my wife, my brother-in-law, like everybody. We come in and we have a meeting. I have a whiteboard. We have food. We set it up like a real seminar, and we teach financial literacy. And what we do is a susu. So y'all familiar with a susu?
Yeah.
So what we do is a susu, and every month we take the money to invest towards somebody's financial development. So we all come together, $200 each person, right? It started out with 12 of us, right? And 1 month we took the money, and that's how we invested for my brother to go get his insurance license, so that he sets up all of our life insurance policies. The next month we paid for my dad to go get his private money broker certification so he could broker all of our deals. Next month we invest to get my aunt credit repair, right? But every month we take the money to help somebody develop financially or get mentorship, get training, whatever the case may be, so that you can come back in and bring resources so we don't need to go out to nobody else. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's mandatory for everybody to have an LLC. Reason why, with an LLC, you got money sitting on the table. If you know how to activate it, utilize the credit. And now we utilize the LLCs, and whoever has the best credit, we just put them on whoever LLC is more seasoned, and we go get funded. So a combination of us getting funded together as a family, with having different licenses and knowing how to find deals, that's how we build family wealth. So when I say building family wealth, is buying assets and also having insurance. So in the event that something happens to me, there's $20 million that will be attached to my last name. So, and I'll break it down a little bit more for y'all, right? So we have a family trust, right? And every time we take on debt, we go and get an insurance policy to match the amount of debt. So $10 million in self-storage, right? I went and got $20 million in insurance. Why did I get $20 million in insurance? God forbid, when that time comes,
that thing is paid.
They paid off all the assets free and clear, plus another $10 million on top of that cash. So now you got a portfolio free and clear, and you got $10 million cash that goes into the trust, not to nobody, not to my sons. I love y'all, but I'm not just gonna give y'all money like that, right? It goes into the trust, and now the trust outlines all of the instructions on how we want to move the money forward, and what the instructions is, when that time comes.
Yo, that's different.
I ain't gonna lie, that's my favorite part of that episode.
Yeah. That's really the high level.
I feel like more families need to start doing that, because it's like, I'm gonna be honest, like, in my family, we don't really talk like,
we don't talk anything about it.
Investments.
Why not?
Nothing. Just everybody's just kind of like, traditional with everything. Like, they just look at it like, work, save up for retirement, and that's the route. That's the only route they see, But that's one of the reasons why I'm glad, like, I'm engaging in interviews like this, because now I'm learning things, and then I could be the one, to set something up like that. So
that's sure. I want y'all to go set up a family legacy meeting, tap back in with me, let me know how it went. Because like I love what y'all doing. I just want to give y'all flowers right now, man. For two young brothers to put together this whole thing, building y'all brand. I've been seeing y'all. We've been supposed to get together too.
Facts.
I just been running. There's been a lot going on. But I was just like y'all, young, getting all this information. Like, oh my goodness, I gotta tell y'all, right? It's crazy, right? And I went out and had my first meeting, and not everybody was on board.
Yeah.
But it was my cousin, right? He's a correction officer.
Yeah.
He works 50, 60 hours a week. Responsible person, pay his bills, great credit, but that's all he knew. Just like you said, that's all we are taught. Just pay your bills, go to work, save for retirement, 401k. Once I exposed him to this information, we looked at his credit. I put him on my LLC as a member, got him $45,000 in funding in 48 hours. Chase credit card, right? He like, oh, what? You got money that fast? Damn. So I had to show him, like, look, this is how it works. You get what I'm saying? And that same money that we got off the credit card, we used to go invest. And we did a fix and flip. This was like 2019. We did a fix and flip. We made like 80 something grand. I cut him a check for 20 grand. So Now everybody's a believer.
His mindset changed.
His mindset, but not only him, all the other family, because it's one thing for me to do it, but I just did it for him. Oh, so now everybody's bought in.
Yeah.
So now it makes it easier. So start having the conversations because you never know who's in position.
Yeah.
And then you get a win for somebody in the family, and now they like, all right, cool. So I'm with y'all.
Wow.
And that's how I go.
Yeah, sometimes they gotta see it to really like.
Yeah, that's that. I feel like that's how my family is. But I ain't gonna lie, my family kind of did the same thing because, you know, my family's from the Caribbean, so I'm familiar with the term susu, how it rotates. You know, everybody put up $200 and the money just rotates. This person gets this money this month. That person get the money this month. And my family used that. I think they used that for their down payment on the house. So, you know, that was one of the ways that they did build family legacy. But now imagine if it was more intentional, you know, like on a level like that, you know, getting an insurance policy. Not, all right, cool, we get an insurance policy. We just bought a house. You get a $500,000 insurance policy. God forbid you die, boom, it's paid off, free and clear. And then some people, they take it a step further and they got another insurance policy where, all right, cool, this is extra money that's going here. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's it, bro. That's the blueprint.
Crazy.
Damn. That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
So where'd you learn this before we close, bro? Like, where'd you learn all of this information? Like
so mentorship, but then also experience, trial and error. So when I said that we had the family legacy meeting and my brother went and got his insurance license, once he got his insurance license, he was in a program with other people that was doing these high level strategies and brought it back to us. And I'm the family man. Don't tell me nothing. Don't give me an idea because I'm gonna go like full fledged. So he's like, yo, bro, you know, I'm in this network marketing, right? And he's like, yo, you know what I heard? He said, they get the oldest family member and they all come together and put a policy in the oldest family member's name. So when that oldest family member pass away, because at least they passing down wealth. I'm like, word, that's what they doing over there? Say less. So then I'm like, all right, we got to go do the exact same thing. But it was because we had the conversations, we got outside, and not just one person. So I'm learning about self-storage. He's learning about insurance. My dad is doing private money. My other brothers is self-development. But if everybody's being experts in what they're doing and we bring it together, that's how we win as a family. I can't be the expert in everything. Yeah. And that's how I go.
Wow. Bro, that's a lot of game, bro. And just to close, bro, like, so, you know, you're doing a lot, bro. So where do you see yourself in the next, 5-10 years? Where are you trying to take your portfolio of assets? Like, where are you trying to take it?
Man, guys, some amazing questions, bros. In the next 5 years, I got two top goals. And I don't know if this is going to happen in 5 years, but this is my goal. My goal is to build a recreation center in Brooklyn. That's where I'm from, born and raised. But not just a typical recreation center. I want it to be financial literacy based. So that's why we built the online university, and we have coaches, we have education. These all the things that I'm teaching right now, or sharing right now, we have a full-blown online university, but I want to take that to a physical component, have real instructors inside the location, and now the parents could sign up their kids on a membership and have them start learning about credit and taxes and insurance young, you know what I'm saying? And giving them, that's my goal. And then the second goal is to just be a public speaker and travel the world and share this information and raise capital. That's really what I want to do, raise capital, share this information, and being able to buy more businesses that could serve us. Right, so getting into technology, right, being able to be in the media space, being able to buy, hospitals, right. Like, I really want to do it at that high level and truly build up our own communities. You know what I mean? That's the goal. It's going to take some time, a lot of time.
That's small, man.
Yeah, I mean,
hospitals.
Bro,
Nah, 'cause I even think about it too. Like in New York, I see it's this one ethnicity group that owns a lot of the hospitals. Yeah. So I'm like, they're on like another level of building wealth, bro. So it's like, for us, the gap is still there, but I mean, those plans, bro, it's doable.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I'm in rooms, like this other mastermind that I was at, Self-Storage Mastermind actually, right? I'm in there and they don't look nothing like me though. I'm the only black person in there, young guy. and they standing up. Hey, I just raised $5 million last night. Yeah, we about to go. I'm looking like, you raised $5 million last night and it's nonchalant. Like, this is what y'all just doing. So I'm seeing people doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know we could do it because we smarter, we faster, we better, like everything. Yeah. I know we could do it. We just got to get past all of our trauma.
Yeah.
Like, we got a lot of family trauma. You know, we got self-hate. Right? We don't believe in ourselves. Like, it could go deep. I could go on and on and on. But I think that's what hold us back. That's why I'm so proud of y'all, because young guys like y'all coming from where we come from, we not on to this earlier. We not doing this. We got to bump our head. We got to get arrested first. We got to have 4 different babies first. We got to mess up bad and then finally be like, oh, let me go try something different. It's like, damn, it's too late. Now you went to jail. You got a felony. Can't get a job. When it's like, if you could just learn this stuff earlier on and got ahead, we'll be in a different position.
Wow. Anything you got going on right now that the people need to be tapped in with?
Listen, just tap on me on social media, Mogul Lifestyle _ I do have a community where we teach these strategies in full detail. So you could text Motion, actually. I want to do something. So text Motion to 347-429-6496, and you could join our community. And I'm going to give it half off for anybody that joins our community just because y'all tapped in with Motion and Success. And I'm really proud of y'all guys. So text Motion, 347-429-6496. Tap in with us. Learn how to buy businesses with no money out of your pocket and build family wealth.
Man, y'all need to tap in. Y'all heard how he broke it down on the whole podcast. Like, so simple. And it's just like, he even said you don't even need money to do it, bro. That's crazy.
There's no excuses at this point if you really wanted to get into self-storage unit. Like, for real.
Yeah, bro.
But, yeah, I think this was an amazing episode. Definitely drop your favorite part of the episode down below. My favorite part was the legacy part. That one just bust my head crazy. But go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and tap into the next episode. Any final words, bro?
Bro, this was a masterclass, like Ramel said, bro. Wow. Definitely was. I learned a lot, and I'm telling y'all, if y'all thirsty for some more information, just tap in with Ramel. Join the mentorship, join the groups. Like, you're gonna learn a lot. Just even from this one episode, I know you did. So yeah.
Sure. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it.
It was good. I ain't gonna lie. Thank you, bro. All right, so we get end up right here.